Hello people and welcome back to News Review. This is the second week of the SAO Collab, where the main news is that the jackpots have gotten a VR. I'll be going over their skills, giving some comments on whether you should pull with this recent change, and also the other new cards within this week's news. Once again, this week's news is quite long, so open up the patch notes down in the description if you want to follow along, and let's get right into it. First off, we have, of course, the VR forms of Kirito and Asuna. You can see that right on the back there, starting with the Spriggan Kirito. Once again, he doesn't have any hard restrictions on his team building, but he does give SAO and ALO members additional multipliers on their attack, HP, and recovery. These aren't that much though, because his attack and recovery actually come from sources that are not direct multipliers. His attack comes from this 250% for combos made bonus. You can see right there. This is actually not good if you stack it on leader and ally, if you stack it more than once, because the second set of percentages just basically does nothing. That's the simple explanation. It'll be interesting to see what teams he will come up with. In the way of HP, he does not have much real HP, but makes up for it in his team skill, where he gets an 80k shield. Before I talk about that, first off, he has 5-second runestone extension time, and then this shield is a fending shield. They call it a fending shield. I don't know if that's like lore related or something, but this is way better than your typical shield, because no points will be deducted when you receive a damage that is less than your current shield amount. So say your shield is 80k, if you receive any attack damage that is less than 80k, it is as if you never received damage at all. The shield will just restore back to the amount it was, and you'll be completely fine. Once again, as with all shields, this is only for direct attacks, nothing like poison, burning, it kind of blocks those. When the fending shield has any points at all, team attack times 4, and leader skill CD -6 after entering a stage. You can ignore sticky and laser trap as usual. Now you have enchanted trail, everything is everything, and when 5 more combos are made, damage of SAO and ALO members will be dealt regardless of puzzle shield and anti-runestone shield, and as usual explode electrified, weathered, and frozen to generate enchanted elf runestones of water and dark. Moving on to his active skill, thankfully way shorter this time. For his first active is CD6. It's a stat booster by starting runestone with a water, light, or heart runestone. You ignore burning. Kirito also launches 1 extra water attack as much as 3 times its attack. By starting runestone with a fire, earth, or dark runestone, you ignore smog, and the Spriggan Kirito launches 1 extra fire attack as much as 3 times its attack. At the end of each round, turn the bottom row of runestones into enchanted runestones of the last type used to end runestone movement. This can be board destroying, but you do have more control over this since it chooses the runestone that you chose to move with. The above stay in play until deactivation or defeated, and it can be deactivated anytime upon deactivation. Refresh the fending shield, explode all runestones to generate enchanted runestones of all types of fixed numbers and fixed positions. In my opinion, this active makes this card more of a member card than a leader card, although it is very strong with all the effects it offers. This is the 3rd ever card to ignore smog on its active, after Keanu from the Era of Novelty seal and Fushiguro from the Jujutsu Kaisen collab. For his second active, it is once again the SAO switch, where it is not actually switch, it is swap. This is CD7 for 1 round team attack times 1.5, ALO members damage dealt to human and elf enemies times 2 additionally. This is kind of just, you can pretend it's not there. This is not impactful at all. There are 3 or more members and only ALO members in the team. Tap a members column except the ally to swap that member's position with the leader, and this effect stays in play once again until the skill is reactivated, same as the other swap. And this is the reason why you are kind of encouraged to build a full ALO team, otherwise you cannot swap. For his bonding skill, when you own the Berserk healer Asuna, which is the other form of Asuna, when you trigger his own character runestone will not be stopped when a tornado is touched, which is this last point right here. The other ones add combos and you know, those can come in handy, but I'm not going to go through each one of those. Basically just the other jackpots. Moving on to Asuna, who also got another form. Now she is a water elf. This is the first VR card, I believe, to change both the race and attribute in one go on VR. I'm sure that, you know, someone will provide lore reasons for why this is in the comments if you want. Yeah, so she is a water elf. Now this is actually a really good leader skill and sort of team comp, in my opinion. For her leader skill, team attack times 9, HP recovery times 2. Obviously, once again, SAO and ALO members, attack times 4.5 additionally, and HP recovery times 2 additionally. This is quite a good set of multipliers, I would say. By dissolving enchanted runestones, SAO and ALO members, team attack times 1.5 additionally, and each launches 1 extra attack. This last point is very easy to get off because of her team skill, which I will go over right now. This time they decided to give the SA to Asuna's team skill, which is why I've, you know, separated it out once again into these bullet points. Otherwise, if you read it, which I mean you might be if you have the patch notes open right now, you will lose your mind. First off, you get runestone extension time of 5 seconds regardlessly. Once again, full recovery by dissolving water runestones. This is not limited to first batch. You can stack them. This is great recovering without recovery. You ignore burning. Once again, as usual, you have Enchanted Trail, which enables that leader skill point I was talking about a little earlier. Clear the negative state of Electrified, Frozen, Weakened, Lock for Recovery, and Petrified runestones touched while moving, and modify them to become Elf runestones. This is the superior way to get rid of negative runestones I was talking about before, and this makes the basically Asuna as a leader. That's one of the points that makes her so good, I think, because this form can just effortlessly get rid of the negative runestones, like right on the board. No exploding shenanigans. You can touch them, and after you touch them, gone. Combos made in the first batch will be added to the combo count in the next round. Combo stacking, if you played like AOT or something, you will be used to that. All runestones have the effect of water and dark, so you're kind of incentivized to build a team of water and dark. And by dissolving water or dark, all members attack times 4.5 and damage will be dealt regardless of fixed combo shield and initial shield. Once again, a little bit of reliance on water and dark runestones, but hopefully you'll be generating that with like the new Kirito or something. And I mean, this was also inherently a problem of the original Kirito, where if you don't dissolve water and dark, you lose a lot of attack multipliers, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later as well. By starting runestone movement with the character runestone of this Asuna equipped with her Dragonware, Heart runestones can be dissolved singly or in groups of 2 or more in the first batch. Heart doesn't actually enable that much, which is slightly weird, but I mean, I think she's leaning into like the whole healer thing. I mean, it has the effect of water and dark, but doesn't really enable any sort of skill. When your counter HP is full, you get willpower and launch a non-attributive counterattack as much as 1,500 times damage received if you get hit. Alrighty, moving on. The combination active, if you remember from last week, she has with Yuki. Okay, when they are both in the team, they get a stat boost to HP and attack, not recovery for whatever reason. She gets this combination active. Basically, both cards enter a state in hyper state for 1 round. Explode fire and light runestones, electrified runestones, and weather runestones generate water protected runestones. Turn all runestones into enchanted elf runestones. For 1 round combat, and each combo count will be 11. The character launches 11 extra attacks, as much as 1.5 times its attack, and ignores fixed combo shield, combo seal, and runestone combo nullifying, and Yuki's skill CD -1. So I do think that Yuki will be a staple member in an Asuna team, just because of the stat boost and the, I guess, better active, because this doesn't actually replace anything. This just adds on and gives her a second active, which is really nice. But moving on to her actual active, this is CD7. You recover 50 million HP. This is quite a lot to recover, and might be used to break like overheal shields, because I don't think any card has ever had that much recovery on an active before. You ignore black and white. You restore all cracked positions. You restore the board. Clear the hypnotized state of elves, which is the first ever elf to do so, by the way. The third ever elf to restore Cracked after Wanda from Tournament of Duels, and Keanu from Era of Novelty again. And then for 1 round team attack times 5, ALO members attack times 1.5. Wait, I misspoke. For 1 round team attack times 1.5, ALO members attack times 1.5 additionally. And damage will be dealt regardless of enemy specific damage reducing resistance. This is only for ALO members, but she does, you know, if you have Yuki in the team, then the combination active basically becomes, she becomes a damage cannon. And even if not, I think people, you know, find a way to, you know, mess with this. But this is the first ever elf to ignore specific damage reducing resistance, technically. Alrighty, for her bonding skill, she also can ignore Sticky. No, I'm mixing stuff up. She only ignores Burning in her team skill. She can ignore Sticky if you have Kirito. Fantastic. Alright. That will be the 2 new VR forms. Just to give a recap on how VR works, I stole this graphic from another YouTuber, Yao Live, because I thought it looked good. Basically, these cards, this time, the Sword Art Online cards, are already in their final form, so to speak, so they can be changed. They can switch between their versions without doing anything. Take an example for Nidhogg. When you VR him, this is pre-VR form, you VR him, it becomes this. You cannot go back this way, but you can switch between these forms as much as you want. Same with Mega Man, but I don't know how many people were there for Mega Man, so I'll not go over that example. So there is no need to get multiple copies of the card if you purely want to just get the different forms and play with them. Alright, this is the updated tier list. If you want to hear my comments on the non-jackpots, you can watch last week's news view. I'm not going to go over that again. The main changes here are Kirito and Asuna. As you can see, I've put them above the highest tier. That's right, they have, in my opinion, broken the tier. Once again, broken the tier list. This hasn't happened for a long time, I think, and this is because I think they're just worth more than their price tag. Especially if you're a new player, you're getting so much value just within 1 card, or 2 cards in this case. All forms of the card have their own use, in terms of being a leader and being a member, and since they are VR, you can swap between them whenever you want at no cost, making it really worth it to pull. The other thing I want to point out is this family card, which I kind of dunked on last time. But once Kirito actually released and I saw people messing with the swapping mechanic, you realize the family card is not actually useless. It is very niche. It solves niche stuff like the 30 Runestone shield, but because you can swap it in and out, you can basically utilize the team skill when you want, making the team skill like an extension of the active. And within one team, you can basically get the actives of Kirito, Asuna, and the family card. Not all the time, obviously. Not at the same time, rather. But you can swap in and out, and that provides really good flexibility. And honestly, same goes with the new ALO forms of Kirito and Asuna, because now I believe like the some of the sub-jackpots are also from ALO, and that will provide insane team versatility. And I think that's why they gave them, you know, team skills and leader skills that are not absolute garbage, although once again, kind of subpar, can be used to solve some niche stuff, just like the family card. So I'll be on the lookout for what people do with the swapping mechanic in terms of the ALO forms of Kirito and Asuna as well. That's why I think these cards are really great. Obviously, once again, depends on your diamond count and other leaders. If you have some recent human leaders, then, you know, you can make the argument for not pulling. If you're recent human and elf leader, I should say, because these cards are, you know, just strictly speaking, both human leaders and elf leaders now. So that's why I'm just like, if you have enough diamonds, just, you know, I think this is really worth it. And if you have diamonds to grind, you know, go do it. The jackpot's not coming out once again for a while. I think it's at the end of when this video comes out. I'll be reviewing that once again. If the celebration events are even up, I forget. If there's extra celebration events for this week, in English anyway. But yeah, that is the tier list, and moving on to the free cards now. First off, we have the Ultimate Stage card, Fairy King Oberon, an Earth Elf, CD7. For 3 rounds, the character attack time is 3. he locks the skill of Asuna. Attack base value of Asuna will be lowered to 0 and adds 2 times the deducted attack base value to his own attack base value. And if a member's skill or attack is lost, the character's damage will be dealt regardless of initial shield and specific damage reducing resistance. This is technically the second card to ignore specific damage reducing resistance, but why the hell would you bring him when Asuna can already ignore damage reducing resistance herself? I guess this card could come in handy if, you know, the enemy has like an earth attack shield or something, but that's insanely specific, and that's why, you know, this card isn't that good, but, you know, you should always get one of every card. Next up is the item collecting mission, basically the same thing as last time, but just the ALO section will have its own shop, its own currency, its own items, and stuff like that. One such item, or one such set of items I should say, is the exclusive dragon wares for the ALO characters. Once again, there are, I think, 7 of these, 5 for the, wait, actually, yeah, I think, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, no, there are 4 of these. Okay, I don't know how the dragon wares work anymore, but these are for ALO characters. Maybe there aren't as many ALO characters as I thought, but yeah, nothing too special I think about the dragon wares, so I'll just go over skip over that. If you can read them if you want, they're in the patch notes. Moving on to a challenge stage card, Light Human Kirito. Hit for its active at CD6. CDs of all enemies will be delayed for 1 round, venom all the enemies, and for 2 rounds the character's attack times 4. Then one noteworthy thing about him is that he is the second ever human to venom the enemy after Geto from the Jujutsu Kaisen collab. Moving on, we have the TOS Battle Pass card, an Impregnable Fortress. I don't know, that seems pretty pregnable to me. Haha, okay. Let's move on to the actual skills of the card. I don't know why they had to make the card look like that. A Fire Machina. CD6, 5 members and Machina's attack times 2 by dissolving 3 or more types of runestones in the first batch. Recover half your HP, and by dissolving 4 or 5 types of runestones in the first batch, damage received minus 50%, and by dissolving 6 types of runestones in the first batch, effects 2 and 3 will be granted, and the character launches 5 extra attacks of 1 attribute each. And this all above is the stat part, and it can be deactivated any time. When you deactivate it, turn all runestones into enchanted Machina runestones. I think this card is a very strong stat booster. It offers damage, recovery, damage reduction, quintet shield breaking, as long as you dissolve all types of runestones, of course, which is admittedly often not possible due to enemy skills, but when it does work, I mean, you know, even if you're not getting that last effect, then it's still really good, I think, and will work well, I think, in Lilith. I mean, Lilith has like enough garbage to mess with the new like insane team comp, but yeah, I think this card will, you know, probably get use in the future as a strong stat booster for both Machina and Fire, because it's not limited to either. And lastly, we have the tier list here of the free cards. Oberon, I put him like halfway in the trash because it's like, I tell you to get one, will I ever end up using him? Probably not. Kirito, get one. This is a legitimate get one use case. It's very niche, but the one day, you know, you run into an enemy that's like, you know, 10% damage unless you venom the enemy, and you have this card lying around and you're like, you know, the good team to use is SAO, there we go. And this Battle Pass card I think is actually quite strong, so I put it in Farm with Normal Stamina, even though you can only get one of it. Theoretically it would go up here if you could farm it. Before I end off this news review, I just checked the Chinese version of the celebration events, and yes, that is correct. The rate up will be coming on August 17th to August 19th, which is at the end of the week in relation to when this video comes out. So if you want to pull, please be sure to pull during then. That is it for this week's news review. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below and I will answer them. And if you like this in general, please subscribe. It gives me motivation to make more like this. And I'll see you next video. See ya!